Everybody. Good morning, everybody. We're going to wait just a couple more minutes as usual, just to give a few people time to join. Thank you for joining early on a Friday morning. And for those of you that are already there, we usually have a play date at this time with donuts and coffee. So I apologize for the lack of donutage. But if you come next Friday, we will have donuts and coffee.
Everybody.
Whose cursor is that?
This one?
Is that yours?
That's yours. This is mine.
Okay.
Are you gonna AI it?
Yeah. Just waiting on people to join.
You can sing for them.
Ukulele?
Or
I don't have any.
how?
We have one in our house.
Did you bring one?
We already have one.
Anybody know? Anybody there? Okay. We just have a couple people entering from the waiting room, so we'll be live in a sec. Well, we're live now, but. Yeah, and one of the things for, if you have colleagues that may not be able to have made it to this, just like our play dates, we are recording this, and it will be up on our website and, hopefully, can we put this over on the YouTube channel? You can't, can you? Yeah.
I do not know.
After the fact.
But all the play dates are on YouTube channel. But yeah, we'll figure out, we'll at least get this up on the website and on our funding page. So let's go ahead and get started. I think we've got everybody in that's coming. First of all, welcome everybody. I really appreciate, as I said, you joining us this early in the morning before the semester has officially started. Just we're gonna go through, and it's really one of the reasons why we have play dates face to face is just because it's hard to get people to ask questions, but so hopefully somebody there will be the person that starts asking questions, because that usually causes everybody to start asking questions, which is what we want. So please feel free to stop me at any time. You don't have to queue up your questions. I'm happy to answer them at any moment. So we'll go ahead and get started. And I'm gonna move that off the screen. And so, yeah, what we're covering today is just how to write, or in some cases not write, an ICAT SEAD grant proposal. And let me do that. So we always have the same joke year on year, so that the local group here will roll their eyes, and you guys will roll your eyes as well. But one of the things is that ICAT specifically is created by Virginia Tech to do the hard thing of helping you do projects that transcend department boundaries, school boundaries, and even, and most importantly, college boundaries. And that's why we're here. And it's always important to say that your own colleges usually have some investment funds, not all the colleges, but most colleges have some investment funds, that if you're doing a specific project within your department, or sometimes within your college across schools or departments, they have funds for that. ICAT's funds are specifically, as I said, to do the hard thing of really doing that transdisciplinary research work. And we've had lots of proposals that say, you know, we're bridging boundaries because we have one area of within our department connecting with another area within our department. And that's not a SEAD grant for us. A SEAD grant for us is something that really transcends disciplinary boundaries. The question comes up often, well, if I'm doing transdisciplinary work, but it is within the college, but it really is multiple fields, we're interested and we will look at that. If it's, you know, connecting history with engineering, with art kind of project, and it happens to be all in the same college, where we will definitely look at that. It's just, you know, these things I put up here are really, and actually the second one, you see, the one on the left, we've actually never gotten. That's just there. But the one on the right, we actually have gotten, which is we do both wireless and wired circuits. So, so yes, not looking for that. I have this, and Phyllis is on the, huh? Hello? Oh, somebody's maybe not muted. So, oops, that is not actually a video anymore. Okay, well, Phyllis, I put this up there just so you can see a picture of you from several years ago. This is was supposed to be a video, but it's basically, this is a wonderful, wonderful example. This was during a play date, actually during a play date during COVID, where Phyllis asked the question, and by the way, Phyllis is the Associate Director of the Center for Educational Networks and Impacts within ICAT. Phyllis asked a team and these two faculty members what it's like to communicate across disciplinary boundaries. And it was such a great answer that, you know, I think I honestly teared up. It was such a good answer, which was there's a cinematographer and a biologist, and the cinematographer, actually the biologist said, I'm not actually sure where Justin, the cinematographer's work begins and ends. He said, I've learned a lot about cinematography, and Justin has learned a lot about biology, and I'm not really sure where we begin and end anymore. And to me, that's the perfect outcome of an ICAT SEAD grant. They're intended to support projects that are creative, innovative, and transdisciplinary, as I've said, and contribute to the goals of ICAT. Obviously, global distinction you're going to hear over and over again at Virginia Tech. That's one of the big new initiatives. And you know, what's the purpose of these projects? And why are they called SEAD grants? SEAD obviously is a cute acronym for science, engineering, arts, and design, but it's also seed as in the beginning of something. And we're hoping that these SEAD grants will lead to national and international visibility projects, performances, exhibitions, funding, publications, those kind of things. That we are hoping that's what these dollars do. And these are the themes within ICAT, but this is very fluid. This is more of a such as kind of themes rather than exclusive or with defined boundaries. So engaging community, creating a future of work, amplifying the arts. These are all kind of the areas within the domain of ICAT, just to give you an idea. And these are all on our website as well. I mentioned about dollars and money. There's many benefits to SEAD grant funding, and obviously funding is the key element of it. But there's also access to, we have several specialists within ICAT that can do everything from helping you work with our studio spaces, which I'll talk about in a moment, to help you conceive of the project itself. You can collaborate with them. We have expertise in areas of audio and visual and lighting and sound, everything that you can imagine as part of your project, we have experts within. So if you have any questions, please let us know. You also have access to ICAT's outreach channels. We have play dates, as I mentioned at the beginning. Every single Friday, we have a play date, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more. The Science Festival comes every fall, and it's a really nice showcase. Again, Phyllis Newell puts that together for the Center for Educational Networks and Impacts. And she brings in students from around the entire Commonwealth come in, and we usually get between 2,000 and 3,000 people coming to it. So it's not a small event at all. We have a project with Amazon where we do workshops within Amazon HQ2. We have an arrangement and relationship with the Torpedo Factory in Alexandria and their Target Gallery. have had roughly 30,000 people through the exhibits there. We have a studio that's being finished up right now on the Innovation Campus. All of those we can help you get access to and be a part of. But as I mentioned just a moment ago, we also have studio spaces. We have close to 20 studio spaces. Most people know the Cube, which is a space with approximately 150 speakers, a brand new projection system that can project on the walls and the floor. We have a small studio for doing some prototyping, and we have an arrangement of other studios that allow you to do immersive audio, immersive visuals, and just work within a interdisciplinary creative department. Many times I joke that ICAD is kind of like Switzerland. It's sometimes within your department and within your college, it's very hard to do interdisciplinary projects. You want to be bringing students from another college or faculty from another college. And ICAD is really that set of spaces that can help you do that. And I should mention too, by the way, that you have access to those studios even if you are not applying for a SEAD grant. And again, if you talk to other faculty, please let them know that we have application online for using our studio spaces. And ways that you can use the studio spaces. Number one, the obvious: you want to do research, you want to reserve a block of time to work in that space. But you can also use it for transdisciplinary, trans-college education, and you can reserve in your syllabus a certain number of days within a semester, working with one of the other faculty here, which are Gustavo Rosa, who can help you sign up and put into your syllabus specific dates throughout the semester. Obviously, we need to know first, and we need to go through a process. But anyway, yes, those are things that you can do within ICAD itself. So types of SEAD grants today, we're going to really focus a lot on the major SEAD grant, but we also have a mini SEAD grant program that's every fall, and it's really to, if some of you that are on this Zoom and or again colleagues that that may not be ready, they don't have a team yet to put in a major SEAD grant proposal. That's a nice time to apply for the mini SEAD grants, where you're just trying to put together a team, maybe fund a student, maybe fund a couple faculty to work together in the summer, kind of thing. So it's not much money, but it's some money to help you get things started. We also, please spread the word, we also have a student SEAD grant as well. Just the person, student SEAD grant program, it's due every fall. The students are required to have at least 3 students on a team where one of the students is from a different college than the other 2. I mean, they can obviously have more than that, they can have more colleges, but I just wanted to let you know about that program as well. And many of those students go on to be go to the National Emerging Creatives Conference out of the A2RU, the Alliance for Arts and Research University. So please let your students know about that. That's obviously coming up this coming fall. We do it in the fall so that they have that arc of the academic year to really work on their projects. So let's talk about this year's SEAD grant call. I'm sure all have looked at this, but again, I want to give you opportunities to answer any questions that you might have, or ask any questions that you might have. So the open call is there. It is our general call for any projects that do, as I've already described, that transcend college boundaries. They are pretty competitive. It's not like submitting to a federal funding agency. It's not at the 7 to 10% funding level. It's about the 30% funding level is what we can fund, but it's still quite sad in our process. We're always sad to have, roughly 2/3 of the projects will not make it through. And one of the things, if that does happen, and hopefully your project will make it through, but if that does happen, I always have faculty that say, well, you didn't like our proposal. And it's never that we didn't like your proposal. It's just extremely competitive. And we have to pick and choose, not simply projects that are the best, but also projects that showcase all of the different aspects of Virginia Tech and of ICAT. And we'll talk a little bit more about the review process in a moment. We also have some special calls we do every year, and these are funded quite heavily. So you can see right here, we have a special call on creativity, empathy, and AI. And this is done jointly between ICAT and many of you might know the Sangani Center for Artificial Intelligence and Data Analytics. They're headquartered up in Northern Virginia, but they also have many faculty down in Blacksburg. You can be at either location to submit to this. It has nothing to do with where you're located. And it's jointly funded, so we're able to fund a project for up to $40,000 for this year. And I always tell faculty that, if you think about it, that's the equivalent of getting an $80,000 per year grant externally. So it's a quite large grant, and we hope we get a lot of applications for that. We also have another special call that is furthering the Innovation Campus Partnership. ICAT had a similar call a couple of years ago, ended up with an amazing project that's actually being showcased at the opening of the Innovation Campus. It's called Carving Out Creativity, and the project is going to be in exhibition at the Torpedo Factory in Alexandria, in exhibition at the Taubman Museum of Art in Roanoke. On the opening of the Innovation Campus, it's going to be showcased at all 4 sites, the Innovation Campus, Taubman, Torpedo Factory, and the Cube here. So that highly successful project, and we're doing that again, really looking for teams to bridge between the 2 campuses, and focusing on both the ICAT themes, but also, of course, on the themes for the Innovation Campus, which we have a link to on the call, and you can also look that up online. And finally, we have one that's a little complicated, but I would love to see applications for this. I don't expect to get many, so if this is something that interests you, please apply. In terms of global outreach and global distinction, ICAT has a special program we started a couple of years ago called ArtX, Art Exchange, where we're building up international partnerships. And we have one going that's pronounced Kermit, and it's a special center up in Montreal. The lead university is McGill University, and I think most of you probably know it's the #2 university in Canada. Kermit is like ICAT and not like ICAT. It's a connection of several universities, as I said, in Montreal, led by McGill, which is not like ICAT. ICAT is only Virginia Tech, but they're like ICAT in that they focus on the boundaries of art and science. And so they're looking for those kind of proposals. So this is sort of a beginning stage connection. So the funding is for those who would apply would be $6,000 for the Virginia Tech team, and then McGill University in Canada is going to put in $6,000 for the Kermit team. Probably most applications for this will not have had a moment to talk to Kermit. So we're really looking for those that are go-to and read about what Kermit is looking into and have their these preliminary proposals really conjecture about what could be done together. And then this will lead to future grants that will obviously be much larger from both sides. So this is sort of a get started. This is kind of an expression of interest. And you can look on the website again about what that involves. But I'd like to see a nice description of the kinds of things that you would like to work with the team up there. So I'm going to stop there for a moment because I wanted to just give you opportunity to ask any questions about what the calls are before I talk a little bit about the review process. And by the way, with the students, my students have been known to wait for 5 minutes for questions. Probably won't do that here. No questions? Oh.
Hi, yes. I'm just curious because this is my first time applying. And I was wondering how many PIs can be on a proposal?
As many as you'd like.
Oh, okay. sounds good. Thank
and
you.
I almost want to say the more the merrier.
Okay.
Because we're looking at connecting across there. And the only caveat is just a personal one, which once you get too many people on your team, it's hard to herd the cats. But other than that, no, we would love to see large teams. We brag about, and I'll mention this later on, but one of ICAT's roles after the project starts is to brag about you and tell you how amazing the projects are that are coming from Virginia Tech. So we always like to brag about, like for example, the Carving Out Creativity team has a faculty member from electrical and computer engineering, a faculty member from visual arts, a faculty member from neuroscience, a faculty member from engineering education. So we love to brag about, all of these really, because other universities don't have that. And so it really separates us nationally from other universities that have, programs like this, but they're usually embedded either in a department or at most a college.
Thank you. And is there a place on the application? Because I've checked out the website, but it wasn't obvious if there's like a template for applying or it's just kind of free flowing. So is there a place to leverage the diversity of our team? Because we have, so our topic will be neurodiversity, and we actually have neurodiverse individuals involved in the team. And is there a way to highlight that, for example, when we apply?
So there are a couple of things that you'll find on the website. One of them is the cover sheet where you will list your team. And then when you go under the application submission process, there is a Google form. And that's where it's a little more of a template, very specific questions where you can highlight some of that information. And then of course you can put it in your proposal, the PDF attachment. But I wouldn't waste a lot of my space on, saying exactly what all of your team members do, but you certainly can do that in the Google form.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and it makes the proposal special exactly for those reasons, and those are the kinds of things we are absolutely looking for. And again, those kind of things, and I don't know. I mean, I'm very, very serious about how difficult that kind of work is, and so these programs are really there to help you do that kind of hard work. Thank you, Lavinia. Any other questions? Okay, well, I'll pause a little in a little bit as well to get some other questions. This is obviously open to all faculty. One of the questions that I get often is, your team not only is like Lavinia said, where you're bringing people together from different disciplines, but you also have maybe some people off campus from another university, from the community. And the answer is that the funding goes to the faculties that are involved in the project. And then through your individual departments and stuff, you can use that money to reimburse somebody off campus, et cetera, but that runs through your department. And you are the financial officer of your proposal, just like any federal funding. So it's up to you to work with that. They cannot be a co-PI on the project, but you can fund folks off campus through the processes that the state and Virginia Tech has. Their unspent funds must be transferred back to ICAT. Again, we're looking for a really nice budget that shows a pretty good pace. Sometimes, of course, spending accelerates towards the end, but we're looking for a project that's pretty even in its spending. One of the things we also do, I'll mention it again, is that we fund the project 50%. Until we get the midterm report, and then we will then transfer to your departments the last 50%. And I say departments in plural because you will decide which departments you would like the money to go to. We don't transfer it to one department and have your department transfer it out to others. It's very easy for us if you've got 4 departments working together for us to transfer as you specify the funds into the respective departments.
Can I add something?
Absolutely.
So this slide actually says that the funding is usually available by July 15. We have found that not to be true because we don't have our budget by then. So we can't give you your budget until we have it. So it's usually closer to August 1st. If we have everything in line from you, where you've given us fund numbers and where it's going, I can transfer that as soon as we have budget. And I do try to do that. But when you write your proposals, it's totally okay to budget for summer faculty or summer expenses. Just know that you won't get funding for 2025 until right around August 1st.
And that's for summer, what we call summer two, the second summer session in 25. You can also, in your proposal, and many do, the first session of summer 26 can also be part of your proposal, and often is, because a lot of the project, as I said, may crescendo towards the end, and so that's also fine. Just has to make sure that all the funds are expended roughly in the May timeframe for the end of the fiscal year. Last year, we funded $282,000 worth of projects at 12 major SEAD grants, also included 4 mini SEAD grants and 7 student grants. With 63 faculty, 91 students, 37 departments, and 6 colleges. And as you can see, this is the raison d'etre for ICAD, is really to bring all of those groups and all of those people together. I'm going to go very, very quickly, but I like each year to show, especially a lot of you are newer faculty, I like to always show you some of the projects that have happened before. You can look at these on our website under the projects. But I just wanted to quickly go through and really just, more than anything, highlight the interdisciplinarity of this. So this is an immersive project that has faculty from School of Design, School of Visual Arts, School of Performing Arts. And you can see that most of these folks are from AAD, but they're transcending boundaries, technological and arts, even within AAD. And then, of course, there's a professor over in engineering as well. AI and accessibility project, again, transcending between AAD. We also have somebody from one of the other institutes, the Virginia Tech Transportation Institute, and then, of course, somebody from CLAWS and STS. And these are, you can see, these are projects that are really looking at very cross-disciplinary issues that could not be solved. You cannot just have an AI and accessibility project from just engineering or from just architecture. So that's really the key of why these projects get so highly rated. Again, designing technology to support hospital education, a collaborative project between computer science and English. Here's a project between geography and in the College of CNRE and somebody from agriculture leadership and community education. We have a gaming project. We have a big gaming initiative at Virginia Tech, and video games and gaming can be all aspects of immersive environments and of education and of collaboration. And we're supporting this from across the teams. ToySphere is again a project between design and engineering and computer science, and misregistration project, again from the College of Science, Mathematics, as well as, remember I mentioned at the beginning, we have several faculty within ICAT that can partner with you and help you with projects. It doesn't get, one of the questions is always asked, does that give you an advantage when you're writing a proposal? The answer is, of course, no. But it does allow you to have experts that might not be within your sphere or even within Virginia Tech to help you use the facilities of ICAT and innovate within areas such as I mentioned earlier, audio and video immersive environments. Immersive virtual environment designed for flood risk mitigation is interesting because we have folks from BEAM, computer science, but also landscape architecture. Democratizing metal 3D printing, a really, really cool project that's actually led to external funding, again, between design and engineering, which is an obvious partnership that you'll see quite a bit. And here's another design project that brings together design and engineering, but also brings together Pamela Teaster from the Center for Gerontology in CLAWS. So I'm not gonna read through all these, I'll just let you look at these very quickly. But these are the mini seed grants that we have, as I mentioned, every fall coming up. So obviously you're probably not thinking a lot about it, but I always with these talks, I just want to plant them in your mind. And actually even, I mentioned earlier that the acceptance rate is about a third of the projects. And if you're unfortunately, one of the two-thirds that might not make it through, we often recommend that you maybe apply for the mini seed grant in the fall, and you have plenty of time to do that. So we will give you feedback on your proposals, and that might be one element of feedback. And I'm also happy to meet with all proposal teams. So I mentioned earlier that I would go through the review criterion. These are on the website as well. Obviously, intellectual merit and innovation, but again, as was brought up just a moment ago, interdisciplinary nature of the team is very, very important. Correlation, of course, to the mission of ICAT and the mission specifically focusing on bringing together these transdisciplinary teams, bringing aspects of design and the arts into the project if at all possible. Certainly bringing in aspects of human-centeredness into the project. The broader impacts of the projects, we really, as I mentioned, it's a seed grant. We're looking for the potential to expand. If it's a installation, how could it expand to being showcased around the country and hopefully around the world? If it's a research grant, how could it either publish or bring in research dollars? Federal research dollars, European research dollars, doesn't matter. We're looking for the broader engagement. I think, I'll mention in a moment some of the pitfalls, the things not to do in a seed grant. Again, but really the timeline and clear outcome and deliverables are often some of the failing points of a project. You work so long and hard on describing the project, but you don't have time to really do a very clear deliverables and timeline. One of the things we have on here is that we often, if a project is right on the edge of being accepted, or where we need to move things around within a project or adjust the budget, we will meet with the team before decisions are made. So that often happens. So I guess I say that just because if you get an email from Melissa saying for you to come by, it's not anything bad. It's probably good news, and that we're going to the next level of consideration. So I mentioned that I was going to talk about some common issues, and I've already mentioned some of these, not clearly defining what the outcomes and deliverables are. We have had folks, one of the things I will say, one of the senior faculty at Virginia Tech, University Distinguished Professor, we talk a lot about percentage acceptances to get federal funding, and federal funding line is often around 10%. And you go, oh my God, there's only a 10% chance. Well, if you do a good job writing a proposal, you're already moved yourself up, because part of the 90% that gets rejected at the federal level are ones that people just didn't spend a lot of time writing. And it's the same thing with internally at ICAT seed grants. We do get the proposals that just were not, clearly not much care was given to the proposal, and those do get immediately pushed aside. Not transdisciplinary, scope and budget is promising the universe for $25,000 is probably not a good idea. We really want to see you be successful with your project. So make sure your scope is within the budget of the proposal. Remember too, and this is the tough thing about being at ICAT, is that we're going to get proposals from you, and you're going to transcend disciplinary boundaries. And the reviewers are going to be from across all the colleges and these disciplinary boundaries. And they're not going to know a lot of the individual pieces of your proposal. So it's unlike you when you submit a proposal to your own area, your own expertise. You're going to have a lot of reviewers. I always try to make sure one reviewer on your proposal is in your area of expertise, in the lead PI's area of expertise. But most of the reviewers will not be, and the entire review panel will obviously not be. So make sure you write for a lay audience. Don't give us these giant titles. Again, we're looking for you to be thinking about next steps. How do you get foundations to fund this work? How do you submit this work to national prestigious museums or journals or wherever? So we're looking for this to be written that gives us confidence that you're going to do the next step. And as we said, because hopefully it will be. And if you want to find collaborators, I've gotten many emails over the past few weeks, and if you want to find any, please send me an email. I will ricochet it to people I know, and there's at least one play date between now and the due date, so certainly come by the play date next week as well, or just simply ask now. The submission guidelines process is, Melissa's already started to talk a little bit about it, and it's all on our webpage. Melissa, did you want to say anything more about the submission process? Anything particular?
Not really. As you start going through the process, if there's something you don't understand about the submission process, feel free to just email me, and I'm usually pretty quick to answer emails, so I can get right back to you and answer any questions that you may have about submitting.
They're due February 3rd. It is a very, very hard deadline. I don't believe in the history of Virginia Tech, the history of ICAT since 2012 when we first did this. I don't think we've ever extended the deadline.
No, not since I've been doing it.
And I don't even think we extended it during COVID. Right. Because people really, really work hard, and I'm preaching to the choir because you all have due dates for your students. But people do all-nighters to try to get these in, and I don't want to extend it beyond that and benefit those, or hurt those that really spent all their time trying to get this in on time. We'll announce the awards on March 21st, and the funds available, as Melissa talked about, the earliest the funds will be available will be July 15th, but more likely in early August. Expectations, just so you know, this doesn't really affect you right now, but after you get funded, ICAT is all about talking about you, as I mentioned earlier. And we want to get as much documentation from you as possible. So we have midterm and final reports. As I mentioned, your second tranche of money will come after the midterm report. We also have something called a Pechakucha. Both in January, you'll give a small 3-slide presentation for all the other recipients to hear and for all of us to hear how you're doing and the really cool stuff that you're doing. And then you'll also do a final presentation as well. And we keep these for other folks to be able to look at. And for me to take your slides, give you, obviously, all of you the credit, because ICAT has no faculty, has no academic faculty. So it's all about you. And as I said earlier, bragging about what you do. We hope that you will engage in the engagement events that we already talked about. And we do require, ICAT exists because of how well you do. And vice versa, we really need you to acknowledge ICAT support in what you do. We understand completely that we may only be partially what funds your work, who funds your work or gives you lab support or things like that. We understand that. So your language can be partially supported by that kind of language is absolutely fine. We just absolutely need you to be recognized that this comes from ICAT. We have a special award for documentation and for telling us how great your project is that provides an add-on of $5,000 for summer funding. I have June 2025, but for you guys, it will be June 2026. So it basically next spring, a year from now, if you've done a really good job with documentation and you win the best project award, then you'll get a top up for summer work, like students to help work on the project, things like that. I mentioned at the beginning and several times about the play dates. Those are streamed. They're there every Friday. It's a terrific way to meet faculty from across Virginia Tech, to get Carolee donuts, to get really terrible coffee, and just to meet folks. If you can't make it, they're all streamed on YouTube, and you can look over at our YouTube channel. If you have any curiosity on any of the projects that have been done, just go to our YouTube channel and you'll see presentations. They're only 15-minute presentations, from 9 to 9:15, with questions from 9:15 to 9:30. And you can get there as early as 8:30 to have donuts and coffee. So that's really everything that I wanted to talk about today. And really, I'd like to spend the rest of the time, hopefully, with some questions from all of you. Do I have to call on people? Are there any folks on the call that are having trouble finding somebody in a specific field, or well, yeah, trying to find somebody? Oh, there's a chat. Can we get a copy of these slides? Absolutely. We'll upload these to the website. There are also, you can watch me age by looking at every year's version of this on YouTube, but we'll also definitely upload this to the website right away. Looks like there's 2 chat messages.
Okay.
Actually, we can stop share. Let me stop the share.
Yeah. Mark, we can
Thank
put
you.
those up online. Not a problem.
Okay. Oh, thank you was the second. You're welcome. Any other questions?
When will the play date take place?
So it's every Friday as long as the semester is going. So it will be a week from today. As I said, they're on our website under events, and they should be right on our front page. They take place in what's called the SEAD, which is the new residence hall. It's basically over behind the GLC, the Graduate Life Center. It's just right behind there. We are there starting at 8:30 with donuts and coffee. The talk is always at 9, from 9 to 9:15, as I mentioned, and 9:15 questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question about funding partners that you mentioned before. So, how is it possible for you to help us in case we have a project proposal in mind, an idea, and we want to find people from other departments or schools that might be also interested in joining this proposal?
Best way is to send me an email, and I will ricochet it to the people that I know. And if I don't know somebody specifically, in that maybe narrow area that you're looking for, I will send it to their school director or department head, and then they can hopefully help us find somebody. This is probably one of the most difficult. It's funny because I have a colleague who always says the most difficult thing about getting your PhD is getting your advisors together for your defense. And I think the most difficult thing about writing these proposals is finding the other faculty at Virginia Tech. So as I mentioned, we certainly do also have the mini seeds in the fall. We have the play dates to meet folks, but absolutely, if you send me an email, the more you can describe, the more it helps me. And we literally just did this. We had a professor in AI, who in computer science and AI, who is looking for somebody that was going to be interested in history, because he's using AI to really look back through time, connecting projects across time and things like that. And so we connected him with a couple of historians and also a faculty member in a department, what's called STS, Science and Technology and Society. So that was just in the past 24 hours example.
Great, thank you.
Is it totally fine that the other professors are not ICAT affiliate?
100%, yes. It's of course okay. It's any faculty at Virginia Tech can be on your proposal.
Okay. I read that like conference traveling is not allowed, but is this allowed in the proposal that we mentioned that a professor need either a course buyout or maybe summer salary or something like that?
Absolutely, and one of the most common uses for funding is that. I would say that the common uses for funding are summer salary, which is difficult, as you just mentioned, course buyout, as you just mentioned, and student support. Those are probably the three top things that people ask for. Obviously, you can ask for equipment and other things as well, but those are probably the three top things that people look for in the proposals.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Is there someone here at the Innovation Campus that is sort of your representative that we can go and talk to if needed, other than the Sagani Center? Is there someone who's, because some of us are physically located in Northern Virginia.
Yeah, and I actually am often up there. I would say I'm probably up there once a month these days. But to answer your question, Kurt Cameron is the lead for the collaboration grant between Innovation Campus and here. So Kurt is a great person to talk to as well. But I'm also happy to do a Zoom call anytime, even after 5 o'clock, it's fine. Sometimes after 5 o'clock is easier for me. But happy to talk to you or to any members of your team directly that way. And as I said, I'm up there. I'm actually up there this coming week. So, there's possibilities of getting together even over the next week. But any of those things are possible. And certainly reach out to Kirk as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, well, we're almost at time anyway, and I really, again, as I said at the beginning, I appreciate all of you taking the time. ICAT is really one of the few university mechanisms across the country that does this kind of work, and we are really here to help you be successful with your projects. I will brag and say it's an amazing group here at ICAT, and with everybody here always takes a how can we help attitude, and so please get a hold of us if you need any help whatsoever on the proposal writing or even throughout the year on doing this kind of work or interests in using the studio spaces across ICAT. As I mentioned, we have close to 20 studios. And just any way that we can help, interest in work, being involved in any of the large community events that we have, like the Science Festival and others. Anything we can do to help you, that's why we're here. So thank you very, very much for spending the time today. We will upload this to the website, and hopefully I'll see you at a play date maybe next week or certainly soon. Thank you.
Thank you.